Why is it that the harder you try to succeed, the more you just kind of fail? It's wild, right? Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to discover why the absolute secret to true peak performance isn't about grinding harder, it's actually about mastering the ancient art of trying not to try. We live in a world that is totally obsessed with productivity. We're constantly told that success is just a matter of brute forcing your willpower. But if we look at both modern cognitive science and ancient philosophy, we get a completely different story. So let's dive right into Zhuangzi's fasting of the mind.
Think about it. Have you ever totally choked under pressure during a massive presentation? Or, you're laying in bed the night before a huge meeting, tossing and turning because you're trying so hard to fall asleep? Or maybe you tried way too hard to be charming on a first date and it just failed miserably? Yeah, we've all been there. And cognitive scientists and ancient philosophers actually agree on this. In high-stakes situations, striving completely backfires. Conscious, effortful trying directly blocks us from being spontaneous, attractive, or honestly, just happy.
We live in this hustle culture that totally glorifies constant striving. It makes us feel exactly like Sisyphus, endlessly pushing this massive boulder up a huge hill just to achieve some arbitrary version of success. This obsessive focus on self-control means we're devoting all our energy to pushing harder in areas of life where effort is literally counterproductive. But before we get to the actual cure for this, we really need to call out the fake solution society keeps trying to sell us.
Section 1. The Mindfulness Illusion, the False Cure. So, how does modern society try to fix this massive burnout epidemic? Well, sociologist Ronald Purser came up with this brilliant term, mindfulness. He uses it to describe how mindfulness has been totally stripped of its original wisdom and ethics. Now, it's just the superficial $4 billion self-help industry. Purser argues that instead of actually changing the world or questioning the toxic systems causing our stress, this highly corporate version of mindfulness is just a tool to pacify us. It's literally a fast food drive-through spirituality designed entirely to just get you right back to your desk.
And honestly, the commodification is so extreme, it almost sounds like a joke. KFC? Yes, the fast food chain actually hired a massive ad agency to create a meditation system. They based it on the so-called power of their signature chicken pot pie. Can you believe that? It completely highlights how easily these profound, ancient practices get hijacked and repackaged for pure consumerism.
Critics like Purser hit the nail on the head here. These corporate meditation programs don't truly liberate us. They act more like an aspirin for a headache. They're just there to help executives bounce back and work 80-hour weeks without ever pausing to question the system. This trickle-down mindfulness doesn't fix toxic productivity. It just privatizes our stress and basically tells us, hey, it's your own fault you're burned out, you're just not breathing deeply enough.
Section 2. Wu-Wei, the paradox of effortless action.
Okay, so escaping this trap requires a totally different approach. Cognitive scientist Edward Slingerland has deeply studied this ancient Chinese concept called Wu-Wei. Literally translated, it means no trying or no doing. Now hold on, that doesn't mean just sitting on your couch doing nothing. It actually describes this incredibly dynamic, effortless, and unself-conscious state of optimal effectiveness. It's when you perfectly align with the natural order of things. When you're in Wu-Wei, doing the right thing is as automatic as tapping your foot to a great song. But obviously, there's a massive paradox here. How do you consciously try to not try?
Early Chinese thinkers actually came up with 4 very distinct ways to resolve this exact paradox. Edward Slingerland breaks this down so well. First, you've got Confucius, who said you have to try really hard for a long time, like carving raw jade until it's polished. Then Laozi came along and argued the exact opposite. Just be an uncarved block. Stop trying altogether. Mencius took a middle road, comparing it to tending to agricultural sprouts. You try, but you don't force it. And finally, there's Zhuangzi. He argued for the fasting of the mind, which means letting go completely and forgetting all about trying, or even not trying.
Section 3. Fasting of the Mind, Zhuangzi's Radical Path.
If you're a modern high achiever dealing with intense pressure, Zhuangzi is the guy you want to listen to. Unlike those other thinkers who demanded rigid discipline, he says the only way off the hamster wheel is to transcend your ego. You have to undergo this radical process of cognitive emptying and self-forgetting. That's the fasting of the mind. Imagine taking off this incredibly heavy, rigid backpack labeled ego and just letting it completely dissolve. You literally stop trying to learn more or laboriously improve yourself, and instead you become totally, radically open to the world around you.
Now you might be wondering, isn't this just the flow state? Well, it's super fascinating to compare our modern Western concept of flow with Zhuangzi's Wu-Wei. We usually hear about flow from psychology. It's a secular thing where you match your high skills against a really difficult task. It's often highly structured, even competitive. But Eastern Wu-Wei, it's metaphysical. It requires a complete self-forgetting. You aren't just dominating a task, you are being absorbed into something much greater than yourself. It's about harmonizing with the universe itself.
When you successfully pull this off, when you empty your mind and forget yourself, you unlock this highly flexible, context-specific responsiveness. That is authentic peak performance. Your reflective mind perfectly links up with your fast, automatic unconscious processes. This is the exact mental state you need for things like fluid jazz improvisation, or surviving extreme sports, or navigating a massive corporate crisis. You absolutely cannot think your way through those moments. You literally just have to let go.
Section 4. Achieving authentic peak performance. All right, so how do we actually apply this right now? By following these 4 steps to practice the fasting of the mind, you shift your focus completely away from your own anxieties. Step 1. Stop forcing and striving for a specific outcome. Step 2. Forget your ego. Seriously, just forget about yourself and how you look to everyone else. Step 3. Push all your attention outward, into the world and the people around you. And Step 4. Go with the natural flow of the situation. When you finally stop obsessing over your own performance, true effectiveness naturally emerges. You get out of your own way, and it's a real game changer.
I want to leave you with this totally mind-bending paradox from Zen teacher Shunryu Suzuki. You cannot try, but you also cannot not try. Trying is wrong, but not trying is also wrong. So, as you head into your biggest challenges this week, those high-stakes meetings or intense projects, think about Sisyphus. Are you going to keep pushing that heavy boulder up the hill using sheer exhausting willpower? Or will you finally fast your mind, let go of your ego, and master the incredibly powerful art of trying not to try?